All right, kids, welcome to class. My name is Mr. Lewis, and this is Mr. Lewis's seventh grade science. I will be your teacher this year, and today I would like to dive into some of the tools and scientific instruments that we'll be using in our experiments in the coming weeks and for the rest of the year. Okay, what are some of the things that you've used in your class before? What are some of the instruments or tools that you've used before this year? Okay, right. Rulers, magnifying glasses, beakers. All right. All right. Well, this year it's going to be time for some new ones. So it's time to fill what I like to call our scientific toolbox. All right. The first thing that we are going to discuss and I'm going to present to you is the spring scale. Has anyone used the spring scale before? Okay, maybe when you were kids, when you go to the grocery store, in the produce, they have the scales to weigh how much your produce is. Everybody's ever pushed down that with their hand when they were a kid or something like that? Yeah, okay. Alright, the spring scales we're going to be using in this class are similar to that, but they're usually a lot smaller, and usually we're just going to be hooking something onto the bottom of it, and it's going to pull the spring, and the amount of weight that is pulling on the spring is going to show up on a little display that's going to tell us how much the thing weighs. Alright. Next up is the stopwatch. Alright, this is not just for track runners. Do we have any track runners in here? Alright, cool. Yeah, not just for that. So as people know what a stopwatch is, you used them before. Okay, good. Scientific uses, we might decide, how long it takes something to evaporate or how long it takes for a certain amount of M&Ms to, fall through or something like that. Yeah, so that will be what we'll be using the stopwatch for this year. Alright, next up is the meter stick. Now, I talked to your teachers last year, and I know that everyone has used a meter stick before. So it's basically like a big ruler. Instead of using inches and feet, though, we will be using centimeters, millimeters, and meters. We're going to be using centimeters and millimeters mostly because that's what is used in the scientific world outside of this classroom. When you get into higher grades, that's what you're going to use, centimeters and millimeters, which is the metric system opposed to the American system. Next up is the measuring tape. Okay, this is basically like a flexible meter stick. It's longer, but it's basically the same thing. It has inches and it does have centimeters and millimeters on the other side. You see in the picture that it is the inches side, but if you look on the side there, you can see the millimeters, centimeters. What are some advantages of the measuring tape that you can think of? Alright, now there's some things that meter stick cannot do, like measure around a corner or measure maybe in a curve that we have to measure. So what are some uses outside of class that you can think of? If you think of a person that's going to get fitted for like a suit, they might have to measure their waistline or their shoulder width. That would be the perfect opportunity for a measuring tape. Next up is the magnifying glass. It's used by detectives and Mr. Lewis's 7th graders. So it's not just for burning ants. I hope I didn't just give you an idea. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. Don't burn ants with magnifying glass. It's cruel. Some safe uses in class will be looking at smaller things with the magnifying glass. So see the picture. We won't be doing that. What's in the picture? That's not appropriate for this class. All right. Next up are models. No, not the runway models. Okay, it's a different kind of model. Has anyone ever made a model, like a model car, a model truck, something like that? Okay, a few of you. As you can see in the picture, that is our solar system. Obviously, I can't bring the solar system into my classroom. It's not quite large enough, so we'll be making models to observe the things that are in the solar system, but, we might not be able to go out and see the solar system. A globe is also a model, something like that. So, all right. How many of you here have been sick before and had a fever, had used a thermometer? Okay, everyone's been sick, yep. All right, the thermometer in the picture there is not the kind we'll be using. Those have actually been banned because of the harmful mercury that's inside, but we'll be using a different kind. They have Celsius and Fahrenheit. We'll be using both of the measuring techniques. What things do you think we're going to check the temperature of? Okay, we'll be heating liquids and checking the temperature of that. Maybe we'll check our body temperature, something like that. All right, good. Next up are sieves. Okay, some people use these for cooking. They're good for like breaking up things like chunks of flour and maybe chunks of sugar and that type of thing. In class, we'll be using them to maybe separate, like we might separate sand from rocks or something like that. People use them in California when they were searching for gold. They would put put the dirt and water in there, and they would shake it, and the gold would not fall through, but everything else would. So that's a different type of sieve. Okay, now it's time for the microscope, right? Everybody's seen a microscope before. It's basically the Michael Jordan, the LeBron James, the Kobe Bryant. For the girls, it's the Miley Cyrus of the science tools. It's the most advanced thing they'll be using. We're going to discover a lot of exciting things. It'll probably be the coolest things we're going to look at all year. So get excited for that. All right, in the microscope, we will be looking at microscope slides. Bacteria, cells, and more. Oh my, okay? It's gonna be pretty cool. I mean, how many of you guys didn't look at microscope slides last year? I know that, but this year it's gonna be a little different. We're not gonna get too advanced, but we'll probably just be looking at them, checking them out, maybe drawing some pictures about them. They're really small. They're just little glass slides that slide right underneath the microscope there. Here, let me give you a. All right. Oh, sorry. Okay. You see it fits right there underneath the, you can see actually the little holders on the microscope, and that's where the slide goes, right underneath where the eye piece is looking down. Alright, next up we will be looking at hot plates. This is not a stovetop, and we will not use it as a stovetop. We won't be cooking on the hot plates. We might be using it to heat water or heat another liquid. Now the stovetop is probably the most dangerous thing that we're going to use this year. It's very important that you take a lot of precaution when you're using this. If I see anyone putting their pencil or the eraser on a hot plate, I'm sorry, but you're going to get in trouble. That's not tolerable. It's just for your safety. So be careful when you use these, and we'll make sure that everything goes well. All right, next up are pH meters. Does anybody know what pH is? No, I didn't think so. We test pH. It shows the acidity, so how much acid is in the liquid. Orange juice is a very acidic liquid. You know, when you drink orange juice, you kind of get that kind of tingly feeling in your mouth. That's the acidity in the orange juice. Something like milk is very less acidic. So we'll be testing that. It's found in the liquid, clearly. All right, for a review, we went over the spring scale, the stopwatch, the meter stick, the measuring tape, the magnifying glass, models, thermometers, sieves, microscopes, microscope slides, hot plates, and pH meters. That's a lot of things we're going to have to get through this year. I hope that everyone is excited, because I am, and we have a lot of work to do this year, but I'm going to help you fill your scientific toolbox, so we're going to fill it together, so I hope you're excited.